It's 4 p.m. We're bringing developing news.
And the stories behind the headlines. This is StoryCon. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Ed Lingao. Some stores are watching this Thursday, March 12. The Department of Transportation confirms a fare hike, but the final amount is still under review. Transportation Secretary Giovanni Lopez says the LTFRB has already submitted the proposal, but has been asked to recompute the numbers to avoid adding to the burden on commuters. Officials say any adjustment must be handled carefully, as higher fare rates or higher fares could also push up the costs of goods and services. The fare hike is meant to help PUV drivers cushion the massive oil price hikes implemented this week.
The Middle East war is raising fresh concerns over the supply of oil globally. Iran has warned that prices could spike to as much as $200 per barrel after its forces reportedly targeted merchant ships in the Gulf. The International Energy Agency is now urging has agreed to release a large reserve of strategic oil to help stabilize the market. The escalating conflict has already disrupted shipping routes and sent energy markets on edge.
Other developments, 16 of the 18 former soldiers who claimed they acted as bagmen for assigned lawmaker Zaldico appeared before the NBI to comply with a subpoena. The group arrived Thursday morning with their lawyer, attorney Levi Baligod. The subpoenas stem from a press conference where the men claimed they delivered 805 billion pesos in kickbacks from flood control projects. They also linked the scheme to President Bongbong Marcos and other officials, allegations that Malacanang has since dismissed as mere smear campaigning.
Vice President Sara Duterte's lawyer, attorney Paulo Panelo, says his client also wants to ensure the safety of Ramil Madriaga. That's after Akbayan Party List Representative Chel Diokno asked the House Committee on Justice to take custody of Madriaga as lawmakers deliberate on the impeachment complaints against Duterte. Panelo welcomed the move, saying that it could help guarantee Madriaga's safety and allow him to testify. Madriaga is currently detained at Camp Bagong Diwa in Taguig City over kidnapping charges. He earlier claimed to be a bagman for the vice president when she allegedly accepted campaign funds from POGO operators and drug lords. Malacanang is neither confirming nor denying reports that Cristina Frasco will be replaced as Secretary of the Department of Tourism. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said she is yet to receive official appointment papers amid rumors of a possible cabinet shakeup. She added that any announcement, if there is one, would come from President Marcos himself.
Malamang bukas ay meron po tayong announcement. Pwedeng oo, pwedeng hindi. Magbibigay kami ng announcement tomorrow. Hindi po ako makapagbibigay ng anumang detalye sa ngayon. Hindi pa po ibinibigay sa akin ng papel kung mayroon man. Kapag meron ng ibinaba na anumang anunsyo, ibibigay ko po agad sa inyo. Kahit po tayo ay work from home tomorrow.
Does Secretary Frasco still enjoy the trust and confidence of the President?
Sa ngayon po?
Ngayon po.
Opo.
And joining us today, StoryCon's resident political hottie, Mr.
What?
Nahiya ako rin.
Why are you blushing?
Nahiya ako.
That's me.
Maraming connotations ang hati.
Okay.
Hindi lang yung ganun. Kahit lang inisip nyo, he's
So what connotation were you
the hot potato of politics. Kaya nga resident political hati.
Always
Pero yamas.
always a hot potato.
Oh,
Parang,
di ba?
parang French fries eh.
Crispy on the outside. Okay.
I'm from the
start.
editor-in-chief. From the editor. I'm sorry. From the
Nalis ka rin tuloy.
Philippine Star, editor-in-chief, Ami Pamintuan. Hi, Ami. Ang gulo kasi nakatabi ko eh.
Nalito tuloy ko
Hi
tabi ko.
everyone! Happy Thursday!
Thursday na.
Thursday,
na lang.
malapit na yung inihintay ni Ed, Linggaw.
Yung Monday?
What? Yung fair hike?
Lugi ako sa inyo eh. Pag weekend, mas marami akong trabaho eh. Kaya pag weekend, bakasyon.
Kung naman, grabe.
Excuse me.
Oo.
Sino nagbabakasyon?
Lalaki mata.
Excuse me.
O parang kang kakainin ng buhay eh. Excuse me.
Dalawang to.
Parang monster. Oh, excuse me.
Uy, don't forget, naabot na ulit kita.
Huwag mo tutulak, baka mamaya malaglag na naman yan.
Kaya nga,
Hindi ko
that's the
next
point.
time talagang bagok na yung ulo ko.
Against this big guys.
Hindi, ang problema mo, matagal ng bagok.
Wala pang ano, cushion eh, no? Walang cover sa taas.
Oh, ang sabi
Okay.
ni Ibrahim Zolfakari,
Sino yan?
siya yung ano,
Yan.
spokesman ng Tehran sa Khatam al-Anabiyya Military Command Headquarters. We will not allow 1 liter of oil to reach the U.S., Zionists, and their partners. Get ready for the oil barrel to be at $200.
Actually, in fairness,
May
yung
sa-
kanilang
may
mga
sarili
rockets
namang oil
ngayon
ng
are
US.
hitting their targets. Yung rockets nila are hitting their targets.
Iran
And
sa
they're
Ang Iran. Oh.
They're not hitting military installations. They're hitting, or facilities. They're hitting
They're disrupting.
commercial facilities like oil plants. Sorry, Ami, you were saying something?
you're saying,
Yung, sabi ko, may sarili namang langis ang ano, may sarili namang crudo ang ano,
ang
US.
Amerika, oh. Actually, ang daming hindi alam eh. US and Russia are some of the biggest oil producers.
Yeah. Pero, ayun nga, ang objective naman talaga nila,
There was a...
disruption eh.
Oo.
Di ba? Of the Middle
I mean,
East.
of Iran.
Yeah.
And well, okay. So the other day we were talking about how it's not clear what the objective of this war is. Day 12, day 13 na today, and yesterday. So on day 12, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, posted something, and he says the objective of this war. The mission was always clear. There are 3 objectives. One is to destroy the Iranian regime's missiles. Number 2 is to annihilate the Iranian Navy. And 3, to permanently deny Iran a nuclear weapon.
Mas wala nang regime change.
Yun na nga, that's what I'm confused about because
Ang
President Trump
original
said...
regime change.
Exactly.
Diba? I
President
remember
Trump
that.
said it was regime change.
Eh,
That was
kaso
day 1 or day
pumalpak.
You cannot have regime change in a theocratic state.
And not just by
Yung-
bombing.
Yung papatayin mo yung first layer, may second layer na
That's what we were saying yesterday. Just because you take out the leader doesn't mean the regime is gone.
Yes.
And in fact, tingnan mo yung who they installed as the successor.
More
of
hard line.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So let's look at Pete Hegseth's 3 objectives: destroy the Iranian regime's missiles, annihilate the Iranian navy, and permanently deny Iran a nuclear weapon. Have those been achieved at this point? I think the U.S. says
Wala yatang nuclear weapon eh. Di ba walang makita?
Yung missiles ng Iran, lumilipad pa rin.
kasi
Well,
they
there's
use
no
drones.
way.
They're using a lot of
Exactly.
drones,
They're hitting targets all over the Middle East.
but they're using mostly drones now. So hindi clear at this point if they were able to take out the missile system of Iran. And then yun nga, as Ami pointed out, yung nuclear facilities. Even Trump's
Hindi
own
makita.
even Trump's own intelligence agency said they're very far from creating nuclear weapons.
yes.
Right? They're about 10 years away from
They're
it.
still
Iraq eh.
enriching.
They're enriching, pero
And that takes a
malayo
long
pa.
time.
Yeah.
Oo, malayo pa. So the question is still why now? Why?
Because of Israel.
So Israel was the one that
Yes.
convinced the U.S. to join this war.
Yes. It's Israel. Kaya nga, kahit gusto nang umalis ng US dyan sa gera, hindi papayag ang Israel. They're now supplying arms and support to the Kurds para lusubin yung territory ng Iran. Pero hindi nila sigurado kung kaya ng
That's
Kurds.
going to be
no?
difficult, huh?
Yeah. And there are boots on the ground, mga special forces ng Israel. I doubt kung ang US maglalagay ng boots on the ground. Maliban pa sa
Ang
kailangan nila ng
konti-konti ng
congressional
Israel
approval.
na boots on the ground.
Yeah, they need congressional approval. I mean, to begin with, they needed congressional approval for this war.
But
At
you
the very
cannot,
most-
you cannot have regime change without boots on the ground. Even if you have air superiority, it doesn't matter. No?
At the very most, they could create an autonomous area like they did in northern Iraq. At the very most. Pero to take over the entire country, parang Iraq, the Kurds in Iraq were never able to go down south.
Yes. Pero yung Kurds, may iba-ibang kaawayan. May
yeah.
kaaway na Turkish, may kaaway
Limang
na
kaaway nilang
Iraqis,
bansa.
may kaaway na Syrian, may kaaway na
Kasi they're spread over 5
Iranian,
countries. Eh.
di ba? Oh.
And in each country, they're considered the odd man
Terrorist,
out.
secessionist, etc.
Umalpa kasi yung Venezuela template ni Trump eh. Ayan
Oh,
tuloy.
yung 2 days lang dapat. In the
Akala
first
niya
place,
ganun ulit.
in the first place, hindi naman uubra yun eh. Iba naman yung Venezuela at Iran.
Kala niya nga pareho eh. Kaya regime change din siya.
Ayun.
Pati yung kakampi niya, napatay niya.
Yung problema nila is Strait of Hormuz. No? Kung na lang,
Iraq is warning of a long war. Huh?
trickle na lang ang dumadaan.
Iran is warning of a long war.
Exactly.
And you don't need huge, and you don't need long-range missiles to close the Strait of Hormuz, eh. Kasi,
Just aquatic mines.
Yeah.
Yung ginawa nila before.
or even drones. Kasi the Strait is what, 33 kilometers from shore to shore at Nara-West.
Ang mura kasi ng aquatic mines. Aquatic mines, $100 to $200 each. Maglagay ka na 500, it will take years para tanggalin yon. No? Paano? Sasabog yun eh, pag dikitan. Hindi ganun kadali tanggalin ng aquatic mines.
And then they also have strategically located islands in the middle of the strait. Abu Musa is one. There's several talaga nasa gitna ng strait, straddling the shipping lanes.
Dumadaan na lang nata ngayon, 2 to 3 tankers. Dati, 100 at
I wonder how they choose, how they select who gets to pass. So,
Hindi naman siguro wawasakin niya ng long term. Kasi syempre, they're also thinking of their future, ano?
Pero wala na
yan ang
silang-
lifeline ng Iran, eh. They have to sell their crude.
Pero wala na silang pakialam, Ami eh. Existential kasi yung battle nila eh. Ang habol na lang nila, i-disrupt yung buong Middle East and
Absolutely.
yung mundo.
I mean, they don't have to win this war.
They just have to survive.
That's not their objective at this
They
point.
just have to survive.
Speaking of Venezuela, pala, just very quickly, there was an announcement last night from President Trump that they're building the first U.S. oil refinery in Texas, in a place called the Port of Brownsville in Texas. This is a $300 billion energy deal, and it will be backed by India's Reliance Industries. So that tells you how this is reshaping the geopolitics of it all.
Actually, marami na naglalabasan ng kanilang mga reserves para
Yes.
ma-offset yung price increase. Pero it doesn't
Yeah.
matter eh. Ganun pa rin, pataas pa rin yung presyo. Anyway,
That's
yes.
a topic for another day, but at this point, let's pivot and bring in our first guest for the day. We're talking to Senate President Pro Tempore, Senator Ping Lacson. Good afternoon, sir.
Hi,
Yeah, good
Senator.
afternoon ulit sa atin lahat. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, Senator.
Kamusta kayo, sir?
Yeah, good afternoon. Ronald, how are you?
Yes, mainit pa rin ba ulo nyo?
Siyempre, yun ang tanong eh.
Hindi naman. Hindi naman.
Okay, takot ako to ask
I
the
was
first
wondering how to
question.
ask that question there.
Pero kumusta na yung away, Senator? Kumusta na yung
Ako,
world
hindi ako
war?
nakipag-away eh. Hindi ako nakipag-away. Nagtitimpi nga eh. Kaya lang, minsan eh, sumasagad eh.
Itimpi. Huwag ka na
Pero-
magtimpi, Senator.
Pero in fairness, Senator, nag-agree ako sa sinabi nyo na mas maganda lalaki kayo kay Senator Mark Peretta. Kahit yung katabi ko hindi nag-agree.
Biro lang yun. Actually, Sec, nagbibiro lang ako noon. Parang masyadong tense yung galing ako sa CA. Hinabot ako ng mga media, inambus ako. Medyo tense yung usapan. So, para lang magkaroon ng konting light banter yon. Kaya ako lang
Pero,
Pero kumusta na talaga? Saan
Seryoso
ba
naman.
talaga papunta yung Blue Ribbon ngayon? Kasi nagtatanungan din yung mga tao eh. Magkakaroon pa ba ng hearing about the flood control?
Ang direction kasi, sa ngayon, 4 pa lang yung nakapirmado sa partial committee report.
Yes, sir.
Ang kailangan ko,
Yeah.
siyam.
Yes, sir.
Kasi ang regular member, 17. Hopefully, kung siyempre nakasama na ako doon sa ex-officio, no? Ang dalawang ex-officio pang naiwanan, si Senator Subiri, Majority Leader, at saka si Senator Alan, Minority Leader. So kung makagather ng 5 signatures more, then I'm ready to report it out. Tapos, i-depend ko na sa floor. Magkaroon na kami ng debate sa floor. At kung ma-adapt yung final version after all the amendments, di meron ng partial committee report. And from there, pwede na uli mag-move forward, mag-proceed sa panibagong hearing, tawagin yung mga dapat tawagin, para na sa ganun, kung kailangan na magkaroon ng closure, conclusion, yun na yung final committee report.
Pero sir, ano sir ang prognosis? Do you think you'll be able to get 5 more signatories? Considering na parang how many weeks na since you finalized the draft?
isang buwan na. Kasi alam mo, hindi ko rin sila masisi, 400 plus pages eh. At marami rin naman kaming mga ibang committee reports na pinapipirmahan, iniikot. Ito, medyo masela nito. Hindi ito yung parang ganun kasimple na sa loob ng plenaryo, ikutan lang kami na ikutan, pakipirmahan mo lang ito. Lagyan mo na lang ng will interpolate, will amend. Ito kasi medyo may mga kasamahan kami na nakapaloob doon sa committee report. So palagay ko pinag-aaralan o tinitimbang nilang mabuti kung anong gagawin nila.
So,
Pero, Senator-
where does it stand now, Senator? Are you confident you'll be able to get the rest of the signatures?
Yes, I'm confident naman na I hope I'm not wrong pero I'm confident na yung 5 more pwede makuha kasi initially yung 3 na nag-withdraw kasama naman sila noong nag-meeting kami para magpalit ng language yung ibang nangalingwahe na acceptable man sa kanila. So I'm hoping na yung 3 pa, si Senator Subiri, Senator Gatchalian, Senator JV, makakapirma rin. And I hope makompleto yung 5 more para maging majority na yung nakapirma.
Pero Senator, kayo lang naman alam ko na talagang babasahin yung 400 pages pag merong ganyan eh. Most of the senators,
Bigay sa staff.
papasummarize lang sa staff nila yan eh. So if they really
That is
want to
correct.
sign, pwede nilang pirmahan yan nang hindi binabasa yung 400 pages.
Yes, actually, ang practice naman, hindi naman kailangan basahin talaga word for word o basahin lahat yung pahina. Kasi pwede ka naman maglagay doon ng I will interpolate or I will amend. Ano? Bukas naman yun eh. Kaya hindi naman pag nagpirma ka doon, hindi naman final na yun na yung i-adapt sa floor. Kasi pag pinabasa mo sa staff, binigyan ka ng briefer, pwede mong gawin yon sa interpellation, sinupply ng staff mo, tapos pati yung amendments.
Pero sir, whatever the case is kasi, it's been, sabi nga niya, it's been a month. At 400 pages, even if you have 100 pages read by you or your staffer, I mean, senator, pwede naman kahit 100 pahina kada linggo mababasa niya eh. So kahit pa paano medyo masyadong mahaba na yung isang buwan para kanilang basahin.
Yes, I agree. Kasi naintindihan ko rin na medyo nagbabalanse siguro yung iba. Kaya noon ngang unang nagpapalob kami, ang tanungan ng iba, may nakapirma na ba?
Papakiramdaman.
Parang ganon. May mga pag-aalilangan kung pipirma, not necessarily because of the content nung report. Kung hindi, nagpapakiramdaman kung para rin yung boboto ko sa bagong Senate President may 13 na ba? Parang ganon.
Pero Senator, ano pa yung contentious issue at this point? Kasi ang pagkakaintindi namin, inayos na yon nung binago niya yung wording, di ba? Na for further investigation yung iba, tapos yung rekomendasyon niyo is not to file charges, but yung ganun nga, akala namin naayos na yon. Ano pa yung mga contentious issues at this point?
Wala ako nakikita na kasi yun nga inayos namin kasi ang yung filing of charges baka raw ma-misinterpret na parang kami na yung prosecutor na magpapile ng information. So pinalitan lang namin ng recommended for preliminary investigation which actually is already happening kasi nasa final stage na nga ng preliminary investigation yung iba eh. Tulad yan, di ba, nakapag-file na ng counter affidavit yung iba naka-schedule na mag-file ng counter affidavit. So, halos mahigit kalagitnaan na ng preliminary investigation ng DOJ o ng Ombudsman, yung ibang nababanggit doon sa report. So, I just hope na ma-realize nila na parang fait accompli na nga itong para ministerial na nga itong mga recommendation dito eh.
Senator, hindi kaya yan link sa dalawang bagay? Sinasabi kasi ng ilang mga commentators ay isang dahilan kung bakit medyo mabagal ay dahil yung ilang mga members ng majority ay medyo masama ang loob na ang iniimbestigahan ay kapwa nila mga senador. Imbis daw na mag-focus dun sa mga congressman, sa mga contractors, etc. No? At alam niyo naman, nagkaroon ng kaunting problema yan last year. Ikalawa namang sinasabi nila, baka may ugnayan sa impeachment na aakyat sa Senado. Kaya medyo mabagal. May basihan ba yung ganong klaseng mga suspicions, Senator?
Unang-una, may mga congressmen din naman na kasama doon sa recommended para mag-undergo ng preliminary investigation. Maraming contractors doon actually. May mga contractors na nakasama rin doon. So, kung may basihan man o wala, I leave it to their wisdom or judgment na magpirma kasi discretionary naman yung pagpipirma eh. Ako naman, hindi ko na nga ginawa. Kasi nung unang nagawa yung partial committee report, ako mismo yung nagronda sa plenary. Kasi yun ang gawin namin yun ang pinapractice namin Pakipirma mo na lang ito, lagyan mo na lang ng will interpolate. Yun nga, dahil siguro medyo nagkaroon ng konting sensitivity yung iba, binawi yung kanilang pirma, nag-withdraw. Tapos kung kailangan daw mag-meeting muna kami. So nag-meeting kami, actually yung meeting namin, executive session, inibata pa namin yung ombudsman, yung DOJ, pati nga AMLAC inibita namin doon para maliwanagan nila kung ano talaga yung mga complexities. At doon naman, may mga nag-attending, hindi naman lahat ng members nandun. Nandun sina Senator Gatchalian, Senator Tulfo, Senator Mig Zubiri, SP nandun. So medyo naliwanagan yon. Nagkasundo kami doon sa language to be used or to be substituted. So since then, that was kasi yung unang nung pina-route namin yan, February 11 So may isang buwan na nga
But what do you think, sir, what would it take to get those needed 5 signatures to put pen to paper? What else would be needed?
Alam mo, dahil sa nangyari nga noong unang partial committee report, medyo ayoko lumapit sa kanila personal, isa-isa. So maybe on Monday, I will discuss this with the Senate President and the Majority Leader. Baka pwedeng sila na lang yung kumausap sa ibang kasama namin, at least sa majority, na kung pwedeng para matapos na yung report out na, kung pwedeng pirmahan na lang.
Sir, we watched your long privilege speech on Tuesday, and to be honest, we were all a little bit surprised at your, how do I say, tone, I guess, kasi galit na galit po kayo. And I was wondering what got you to this point that you feel you had to use a privileged speech to respond to a colleague. We've never seen you that aggravated before, I have to say.
Boiling point. Almost, baka siguro nasa mga 98 or 99%. Or degrees. Umabot doon. Kasi matagal na yan na kung hindi man sa kanyang programa, hindi ko naman pinapanood yung program niya, pero pinipeedback sa akin ng mga staff ko ano yung siya sabi. Tapos nag-privilege speech last week, nasa launch nga ako noon. Ayoko na nga patulan, pero umulit ng Monday, nasa office naman ako noon, na-monitor ko. Yon. So, tinext ko agad si Senate President, bukas ko na lang sasagutin, ayoko nang makadagdag pa sa abala sa trabaho dyan. Kasi marami kami tinatapos ng mga bills So, yun. Kaya natuloy na nga nung Tuesday.
Ang tanong ko, Senator, anong feeling o impression ng iba mong kapwa senador? Dahil very classic gaslighting yung ginagawa ni Senator Marcoleta, if I may say so. Paano sinabi niya ito, tapos babawiin niya? Sinabi niya ito, tapos babawiin niya. Nowadays, hindi mo pwedeng bawiin yung sinabi mo dahil pag nasa social media yan, hindi mo na yan mabubura. So, medyo, anong feeling nung iba habang pinapanood nila yung mga ganyang pangyayari? Oo.
Dahil, masasabi ko lang, Sec, Ronald, maraming kumamay sa akin, maraming nag-congratulate, at maraming nagsabi na tama lang yan. Yun lang, hindi na ako mag-identify, baka makakreate pa tayo ng away ulit involving the others. Pero maraming lumapit sa akin ganon, actually, na tama lang ginawa, it's about time.
Yeah.
Pero meron ba nagpapabati sa inyong dalawa? Meron bang siguro feelers na, oy, magkasundo naman kayong dalawa. Meron bang ganon?
Except na kinausap ako ni Senate President, even before yung privilege speech ni Senator Marcoleta nung Monday at saka yung sagot ko nung Tuesday, pumunta pala sa office niya, I think that was Monday last week, na sabi nga sa kanya, bakit naman ganon, marami siyang So, sabi ko, alam mo, SP, hindi naman ako nakipag-away sa kanya, kaya lang, siya yung talaga nang-aaway. So, ewan ko kung naiparating ni SP yun. Serious Monday last week yun Pero apparently, hindi naman talaga tumalab sa kanya whatever the Senate President did, ano? Dahil bumanat ka siya ng Lunes eh. Hindi ko nga na-expect yung Lunes eh kasi ang ina-expect ko, nag-usap ulit sila na SP para iparating yung sinabi ko na ayoko makipag-away. So either kung nakausap siya, hindi tumalab sa kanya or hindi siya nakausap, kaya bumanat na naman ng Lunes.
So on that Monday privilege speech naman ni Senator Marcoleta, one of his main points is that there has been undue delay in the release of the Blue Ribbon Committee report kasi 7 months na daw yung nagko-conduct ng flood control hearings and to this day we still don't have a report. You don't think that's fair?
No, he lied. Kasi alam mo, PDF yung pinadala ko eh. Program document, yung ano yun, di ba? Program document format, no, PDF. Eh hindi ko talaga, sinadya ko talagang bawat opisina padala ng digital copy o kaya yung kanilang ano, may watermark. Kasi nangyari nga yung unang niroute namin, nag-leak. So ang usapan namin, sige, bigyan ng kanya-kanya, may watermark para ma-identify natin kagad, ma-pinpoint kung saang opisina nag-leak yan, kung sakali magli-leak. So isang ano yan, at the same time, 400 pages, hindi naman pwedeng isa-isang ilalako mo yung isang kopya lamang sa bawat opisina ng mga miyembro. Lalo matagal yon. So sabi ko, i-simultaneous natin para simultaneously mabasa nila para mas mabilis. At bigyan lang tayo ng signal, kung nabasa ng lahat, ready magpirma, dadali natin yung kopya na may signature page sa kanilang mga opisina, service na lang natin. So he was lying when he said na ang delay, ayaw niya magpirma kasi wala akong pirma, walang pirma yung chairman. Pero during interpellation, iba naman yung rason niya. Yun ang sinasabi ni Sec. Ronald na gaslighting. Kasi nung interpellation na, sabi ko, pipirmahan niyo ba? Sabi niya, ayoko pumirma ng partial, gusto ko yung kumpleto. Eh partial nga ito eh, hindi pa nga tapos yung ating committee hearings, hindi pa nakukonclude. Paano kung gagawa ng kumpletong report? So doon mo makikita talaga na palusot-lusot, yung hindi niya ma-confront, hindi niya masabi yung totoo. Dahil di ba nung Monday ang sinasabi niya, kaya hindi siya nagpirma dahil nga walang pirma yung chairman, ako sinisisi. Pagkatapos nung tinaliwanag ko sa privilege speech na sinadya kong walang pirma doon sa ano, kasi hindi ko pipirmahan yon. Iba naman yung kanyang kinakatwiran. Hindi raw siya pipirma sa partial lamang at ang gusto niyang pirmahan yung kumpleto. Eh alam niya namang imposible yung kumpleto kasi hindi pa tapos yung, hindi pa na-conclude yung hearings. Ano tawag natin doon, di ba? Outright lying.
So sir, can you confirm that his office did receive a copy of the partial report? And number two,
Of course.
because of the watermark, did you ever find out sino po yung nag-leak ng copy na yun?
May received copy. Tapos panay nga ang follow-up ng staff ko sa staff niya na sinasabi, hindi pa nga rin napipirmahan. Kaya definite, pinakita ko rin sa aking privilege speech yung received copy ng kanilang kopya. Kaya hindi pwedeng i-deny na wala siyang kopya. At saka inamin naman niya, hindi raw siya pipirme. Kasi alam mo, pinapangalandakan niya yung kanyang minority report, which is, kapastusan yung minority report. Kasi sa rules namin, kailangan munang nandyan yung majority, tapos within 72 hours, doon ka pwede mag-input kung ano yung mga pag-dissent mo. Hindi siya nagbabasa ng rules kasi.
Ano ba yung meron sa minority report na gusto niya specifically na isama doon sa yung report ninyo?
Kung dapat hindi minority report, dapat nag-submit siya sa committee, ito yung opinion ng minority. Para ma-incorporate ko yon, so kaya tumawag sila ng meeting, magmi-meeting kami as the Blue Ribbon, majority, minority. Ito yung mga input namin, baka pwede incorporate yan. Pag-uusapan namin yon. Yung sinasabi niya, yung kanya sa minority report, meron siyang conclusion kay Speaker Romualdez, may conclusion siya kay President Marcos. Wala nang pinaghuhugutan. So hindi ko naman kinukontra yon. Pero dapat, ang proper way, ang appropriate manner of doing it is as a committee, mag-usap-usap kami, ito yung position ng minority. Pwedeng incorporate yan doon sa ating committee report. Pero hindi na yung ginawa, pinangunahan niya. Tapos binigyan niya pa ng kopya, si Senate President, yung Blue Ribbon mismo, hindi niya binigyan ng kopya. Hindi ba kabastusan yun? Kaya nga ang trato ko, basura eh. It will never be part of the committee report because it is not a committee report and there's no such thing as a minority report. Sa sine lang yun sa US, yung minority report, yung kay Tom Cruise.
Yung premonition. Premonition yun, Senator eh. Yung nape-predict mo yung
Alam mo-
future. Oo. Parang,
Alam mo, no, i-Chinese ko na lang yun, ano, yung Xiaoxiong Buke Yubing.
ano yun, Sen?
That's one way of ang hirap niyang kausap. Alam mo, you cannot explain ice to a summer insect.
Summer insect.
Chinese, ano yun eh, Chinese idiom.
Oo. Kasama ba
Parang
dyan
magpapaliwanag yung yelo doon sa insekto na pang summer lang. Hindi niya maintindihan.
kasama ba dyan, Sen, yung paulit-ulit niyang sinasabi? Last year pa, na hindi nyo daw pinapatawag si Speaker,
Congressman
former
Martin Romualdez.
Speaker Martin Romualdez, dahil ang ginagamit nyo lang laging excuse, yung interparliamentary courtesy. Hindi ba pwedeng sabihin ng Senate as a whole, kay Senator Marcoleta, yung ruling na yon? Ano, siyempre, bago siyang senador, baka hindi niya na, sabi nyo nga, hindi niya nababasa yung rules. Pero napapahiya kasi yung Senado, pag lagi niyang ini-invoke na parang pinagtatakpan yung ebidensya dahil ayaw ipatawag yung akusado, no? Pero wala yun eh. Klaro yung ganong klaseng interparliamentary courtesy eh.
Alam niya yun kasi in-invoke niya nung congressman siya eh. Di ba, liwa-liwanag, pinakita ko rin yung video. In-invoke niya nung sa budget deliberation ng Office of the Vice President. Yan mismo ni-invoke niya. Kaya nga sinabi ko, such hypocrisy, such double standard. Talagang ano eh. Alam mo, yung minsan yung rules, gusto niya i-apply lang sa iba, tapos sa kanya hindi applicable pagka ayaw niya. Pwede ba yung ganun? Kaya nga sabi ko nga sa inyo, ang hirap magpaliwanag sa tao na yan eh. At saka bawat may makausap siyang, halimbawa, confirmation hearing sa CA. Nangyari na naman yan kahapon. Tumayo na nga ako, kaya ayoko nang pakinggan yung litanya niya kasi ang tinatanong niya pa naman, Infantry Brigade Commander ng Army. Tinatanong niya tungkol sa West Philippine Sea. Pero obviously, ang tinatanong niya, gusto niya mag-agree sa kanya yung general sa kanyang punto. Hindi ko maintindihan, mukhang ang audience niya, China. Mukhang may pinaparinggan niya yung China na nakita niyo, napaamin ko yung general na tama yung punto ko. Napag-alaman ko rin, kasi siya rin may kasalanan, hindi ko naman siya i-research kung hindi niya ako ginaganito. Napag-alaman ko, sabi ko, nakita namin yung website official website ng Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Doon siya nagpa-pluck ng ng mga points niya, yung mga narrative niya. Marami yun. Marami yun. Pati nga yung yung yesterday, doon sa confirmation hearing, pilit niyang, hindi niya nga binabanggit yung panatag syol, Ang ginagamit niya, Chinese name, na gusto niyang ilabas doon sa EEC. Yun ang punto niya. Nakita ko na naman yung dokumento, yung website. Yun mismo pinupunto niya, parang gusto niyang i-discredit yung mapa ng NAMRIA. Sipin mo, agency ng Pilipinas, officially, isang ahensya ng Republic of the Philippines na tasked na magawa ng mapa, i-discredit niya na mali raw yun. Katunayan, nagsinungaling na naman siya sa interpellation niya sa akin dahil sinasabi niyang pinatawag ko ikaw yung NAMRIA, pinatawag ko si Justice Carpio. Sino siya magpapatawag? May chairman yung Foreign Relations. Ba't siya papatawag yun? Hindi naman siya ang chairman. Alam ko naman kasi the day before, nagsabi na nga si Senator Erwin Tulfo kay SP, nandun kami sa lounge, na pinipilit daw siya na kung pwedeng natawagin yung NAMRIA at siguro ibabadger niya. May national security implications kasi mga secret documents yung involved. So, ang advice sa kanya, siya naman ang chairman, siya masusunod. Pero just the same, sa interpellation, as if alam niya na may hearing na, may date na nga siya ngayon March 12 At pinapa-attend pa ako. Alam ko yung background na hindi matutuloy yung hearing kasi nga, naghumingi ng guidance yung chairman, si Senator Erwin. So kaya tinanong ko sa kanya na, kaya nga pinatayo ko si Senator Tulfo, paki-confirm nga, parang make it official, make it on record, na wala talagang hearing bukas. Ganun nga nangyari. Kaya nga sabi ko, he's confirming what is not confirmed.
Pero sir, moving forward, how do we find resolution to this problem? Kasi well, obviously you guys have your own Gulf War already ongoing. Moving forward, sir, how do you foresee this
do I go
moving
about
forward?
it?
Yes, sir.
Just don't mind him. Trabaho lang, oo. Kung nanggugulo, di sagutin. Pero itong trabaho, huwag na lang siya i-mind. Hayaan na lang siya manggulo kung hanggang kailan niya gusto manggulo. Pero we'll just focus on what we're doing.
Senator, yung NBI nagva-validate daw ng statement ng 18 mostly former soldiers, no? Paano ko pang ma-validate nila na medyo merong katotohanan dun sa ibang mga statement? Are you planning to call them to the Blue Ribbon kung sakasakali?
Yes, as a matter of fact, nag-invite na nga ako kay Attorney Baligod kasi magkakilala naman kami during the Napolis, yung Napolis issue kasi siya yung kay Ben Horluy Kaya nagkaroon kami ng pag-uusap noon. So, I was hoping na ilalapit siya sa Blue Ribbon Committee yan Ang invitation ko, ayusin lang yung affidavits, at least yung believable, yung malapit, within the realm of possibilities. Wag naman yung 805 billion. Masyadong exaggerated. Ngayon, kung maayos yung affidavit, i-adjust nila yung mga nakasaad doon na may katotohanan, may bahid ng katotohanan, why not? Di mag-hearing tayo. Yun ang gusto ni na Senator Marcoleta, ipatawag yung 18. Kita naman natin yung motibo Kasi pati yung spokesman, yung isang nagsasalita on behalf of the ex-soldiers, sa taong bayan na nananawagan, hindi naman sila nananawagan sa ombudsman, hindi naman nananawagan sa DOJ, hindi nananawagan sa Blue Ribbon o kung saan man. Ang pinapanawagan, taong bayan Ano ibig sabihin nun? Kung ako mag-a-assess nun, mag-a-analyze, destabilization. Bakit taong bayan yung pananawagan mo?
So
hihintayin mo yung validation results ng NBI.
Yes, kung kailangan magpatawag para makatulong kami, para makabuo ng kung ano yung papasok sa preliminary investigation, why not? Willing ako.
Sorry.
Kaya lang, huwag yung katatawanan na mangyayari, parang circus na propaganda. Kasi ang Blue Ribbon, hindi naman parang pang-propaganda yan Ang piniperat out natin dyan, yung katotohanan, hindi yung propaganda. Ang sabi ko nga, di ba, na ang Blue Ribbon Committee, para i-expose yung truth, hindi expose yung lies. Kasi kung ang hangad lang namin, ipahiya sila, put them on the spot, para i-contempt namin sila. Hindi naman ganoon ang purpose. Ang primary purpose is to expose the truth, at kung mayroong magsisinungaling, incidental na lamang yon doon sa pwede namin gawin para lumabas yung katotohanan. Pero kung sa simula pa lamang, mathematically impossible, logistically impossible, bakit ko agad papatulan yon?
But sir, you said you've invited Attorney Baligod to the Blue Ribbon Committee?
No, it was an open invitation actually. Kasi nag-post na sa aking ex account. I hope kung may nakarating sa kanya yon, sana makipag-ugnayan sa amin o maski sino sa Senado para ayusin lang yung kanila affidavit.
So it's not a formal invitation yet.
Hindi, wala akong number niya
Because when we spoke to him, Attorney Baligod, shortly after nag-press conference sila, he told us that he was very unhappy with the way Orly Gutierreza was treated at the Blue Ribbon Committee hearing. Sabi niya, bakit daw ang focus was on the affidavit, the notarization of the affidavit, bakit daw ang hindi inimbestigahan yung laman ng affidavit?
Well, di ba kasama sa committee report, sa Marshall Committee report, yung dinalidate namin yung kay Gutierreza, inadmit namin yun
I know.
At least sa Blue Ribbon, kasi under oath naman siya nag-testify doon.
Yes.
So hindi namin binaliwala yung affidavit ni Gutierreza while hindi naman siya nagpunta sa DOJ, kaya hindi siya naging bahagi ng preliminary investigation ng DOJ tsaka ng Ombudsman. Pero as far as the Blue Ribbon, nandoon nakapaloob yung kanya affidavit at binigyan namin yun ng space o ng credence, Hindi, sabi ko nga, ang issue doon, hindi yung forged notaryo. Ang issue doon, yung hindi na siya sumipot kasi kailangan naming tawagin sana siya uli. Pero just the same, yung kanyang appearance nandun sa committee report yung kanyang tinestify, maski kinokot siya ni Marcoleta.
Actually, Senator, sinabi nyo several times na yung problema sa notary public, yung ghost notary, ay hindi naapektuhan yung kanyang testimony.
Yeah.
No, yung testimony niya stays. Several times
Under
sinabi
oath
niya
yun.
sa Senate floor.
Actually,
Correct.
sinabi din namin sa kanya, sir, we told him na you still accepted the testimony and you were still verifying the contents of the testimony kahit na nagka-problema dun sa notarization.
Yes.
But it
Yes, kasi
but it didn't seem
kasi
like
as
he
far as
was...
the Blue Ribbon,
Oo.
of no moment na yung fake yung notaryo kasi sinumpa naman niya bukod yun sa Blue Ribbon
Yeah.
So, baliwala sa amin yung kung fake man yung notaryo kasi sumumpa siya sa harap ng Blue Ribbon Committee na totoo yung sinasabi niya. Kaya yun ang kinikilala namin, hindi yung fake na notaryo.
Marami kayong
Kaya
banat.
nakikita niyo yung
Sen-
nakikita niyo yung narrative nila, nililigaw.
Because I think he seemed pretty convinced na hindi trinato ng tama si Orly Guteza during the hearings. Even
How
though
so?
even though
Yeah, pero how so?
sabi ko nga din sa kanya, I explained to him that tinanggap naman sa committee report, it was incorporated yung sinabi ni Orly Guteza, no? And of course, the difficulty was hindi na natin siya mahanap after.
Wala na.
Oo. But, yeah.
Senator,
Parang Marcoleta narrative din
Senator, very sharp yung tira nyo sa kanya dito sa mga nakaraang palitan nyo. No? Na nag-aabogado siya sa Diskaya, na nag-aabogado siya sa China. Pero yung pinaka-sharp na banat nyo ay yung usapin ng kanyang sose, yung kanyang statement tungkol dun sa campaign contributors. Practically, ang sinabi nyo ay he committed a crime based on his own testimony that he committed indirect bribery. Diba? Medyo antagonistic na yun.
Yes.
Mahirap na
Yeah,
ayusin
he
yun.
should know that. Being a lawyer, he should know that kasi yung indirect bribery, hindi kailangang may kapalit Basta tumanggap ka ng gift, no? By reason of your office, that's indirect bribery. And liwaliwanag yun sa kanya, admission against interest nga yung ginawa niya. Kasi in-emphasize niya pa na binigyan siya, tinanggap niya, congressman siya noon, at hindi pa siya kandidato. Di hindi contribution, hindi pa siya kandidato So binigay yon being a congressman, parang daw may utang na loob. Siya pa umamin na para may utang na loob siya sa mga nagbigay sa kanya. Isa pa natuklasan, hindi ko na nga lang sinama sa privilege speech. Pwede ko sabihin ngayon after thought, alam mo, niremedyohan niya yung kanyang defense sa COMELEC, nag-file siya ng counter affidavit. Ang aking information doon nga, nagremedyo siya kumuha siya ng isang tao na di umano, para lang ma-justify yung sose na mayroon siyang contributor. Na nagbigay ng, I think, 30 million, January. Again, hindi niya alam siguro yung batas na within 30 days, kailangan bayaran yung tax. May donor's tax yan
Donor's tax.
alam mo kung kailan siya nagbayad? December. Pero, ano yun? Pero may mga surcharges, may mga penalties. So, after thought, nagremedyo siya dahil nga ipit siya doon sa kanyang SOSI problem o SOSI case sa violation ng Omnibus Election Code. Kakilala niya, kaibigan niya yung kaibigan niya nga yung kunwari, donor niya
Pero para sa purposes ng tigapakinig natin, indirect bribery is a crime punishable by more than 6 years, di ba?
Sa maximum yun, Hindi sa 6 years yan. Parang doon yan sa bandang papunta 6 years. Kasi 6 months or 6 months and 1 day to 6 years yan Pero sa maximum period yan na pinaparusahan yung indirect bribery. Kaya may tulog talaga siya doon kasi isa nakakaintindi Ano pa ba yung element na kailangan mo doon para i-prove mo yun?
Pero so si COMELEC Chairman Garcia given his reason, I think only today, if not last night, because his reason for the delay daw dun sa decision ng COMELEC dun sa kaso ni Marcoleta, I'm not sure if you read it. I just found it a bit confusing. I don't know, I don't know if you've seen it and if you agree with it. It's complicated daw. It's become complicated legally.
Iba yung information ko eh. Ang information ko, may pressure sa mga commissioners na wag pumirma sa resolution.
Coming from Sir...
The plot
Not from the
thickens.
Pressure
government.
from,
Not from the government. Not from the national
nga.
government.
Parang
nga.
From any
Pressure
group?
from,
Any group in particular?
special interest group.
Yun ang information ko.
sounds like
Trouble lang tayo.
Pressure, wait, so, sir, ang gulo kasi ng katabi. Pressure from a non-government entity to not sign the resolution. Is that correct?
Yun ang information ko
can you make a guess?
na galing sa loob.
Galing sa loob ng COMELEC?
Galing sa loob ng COMELEC.
Ah, okay.
Hindi.
Alam mo, maliit lang yung mundo
Pressure sa
Kaya,
COMELEC.
Yes, kaya nga eh.
yun ang alam kong reason.
Kasi the reason he gave was a bit convoluted
Yes.
and a bit difficult
Oo nga, isang
to
ombudsman daw
parse
eh.
through. So,
Well, that could also be the case, kasi kung merong ni-refer na kaso, kasi alam mo, halo-halo ito may SOSI case, Omnibus
Yes.
Election Code.
May
And mind
sal
you,
in.
yung COMELEC has prosecutorial power, hindi ito yung as if parang NBI o
Yeah.
PNP yung COMELEC na nag-imbestiga, nadadaan pa sa DOJ o dadaan pa sa piskal para i-file yung kaso. COMELEC itself can file directly sa korte na parang filing of information kung ano yung kanilang findings. Kaya diretso yan sa korte pagka na-i-file yung, halimbawa, nabuo yung resolution, pwede sila mag-draft ng pinaka-parang information nila na na-establish sila yung probable cause. Diretso na sa korte yan
So may pressure
Basta
ngayon
Omnibus
sa
Election
COMELEC.
Code, COMELEC talagang magpo-prosecute
Yeah. And you know, sir, we've spoken to Chair George Garcia a number of times about the Omnibus Election Code violations, pero
now it's been a bit difficult to get him.
Well, now it's been a bit difficult to get him, A, and B, even back then, parang there wasn't a big urgency around this issue na that they can see this through. Kasi remember when President Marcos revealed the top contractors on flood control in the Philippines, dikit-dikit na yun dun sa sa campaign contributions issue, right? And then nakusap
Correct.
namin
Yung case ni Lubiano.
For example, o sa case ni Lawrence Lubiano ng Center Waste Construction. Pero yun nga, we didn't get the sense na parang there was a big urgency on the COMELEC's part to investigate and prosecute, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
So mukhang well, we don't know if there's really a pressure, but yeah. Okay.
I will have to I will clarify. Information ko yan doon sa loob. Hindi ko sinasabing validated yan. Na ang information, merong pressure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We understand.
Pero kung galing sa inyo, Senator, medyo may konting weight.
Pero sir, pahapon na rin, just in case meron kayo nababalitaan na narinig, kasi we've also been hearing na of the 18 former soldiers who came out in a press conference the other week, meron na raw ilan who, from what we've heard, but this is unconfirmed, who have indicated out their desire to change their narrative. But yeah, this is still not confirmed from our end. I don't know if you've heard anything in this regard.
Wala akong information na Ed.
Ilan ba yung dumalo ngayon sa NBI? Baka doon.
16.
So, ibig sabihin, merong dalawa.
16.
May dalawa na hindi dumalo.
Yeah, may dalawang hindi dumalo.
Baka busy lang. Okay, we'll leave that there. Thank you so much for talking to us today, Senate President Pro Tempore, Senator Ping Lacson. Salamat, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Salamat, Sen.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you,
Regina.
Senator.
You are watching Storycon on One News. We just need to take a very quick break. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.
You've got developing news in the stories behind the headlines. Welcome back to Storycon, the Story Conference. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Regina Lay, still with us. I'm Pamintuan of the Philippine Star and Ronald Llamas, a resident political heckler.
And also, hindi mo ginamit yung kanina. No.
Hottie. Excuse me.
May pagtutol.
Wait.
Ay, magpututol.
Hottie. President Hottie.
Also, joining us this afternoon, Chairman ng House Committee on Public Accounts, Bicol Salo Party List, Congressman Terry Ridon. Sir, magandang hapon. Welcome back to Storycon.
Hello po, magandang hapon. Maraming salamat sa pag-imbita.
Gandang hapon, Kong.
Congressman.
Thank you for joining us, sir. Sir, I understand meron kayong pagtutol doon sa yung mga abogadong pinili ni VP Sara para sa kanyang impeachment defense are possible or probable witnesses doon sa impeachment hearings. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, wala lang tayo objection doon sa karamihan except doon sa dalawa, kay Michael Powa at kay Reynold Monsayak lang po. Dahil sila po ay mga matataas na opisyal ng Office of the Vice President at ng Department of Education. And more importantly, for Mr. Monsayak, I think napangalanan siya during one of the hearings in the 19th Congress na I think binabanggit siya na tried to influence yung pong pagiging back chair ni former Undersecretary Gloria Mercado. So I think hindi ko pwede magsama in one role as a counsel and as a witness / resource person during the impeachment proceedings. Ito po dalawang personalidad po na ito. Si Mr. Powa, ganun din. Siya po yung spokesperson ng Office of the Vice President in the past at mataas din po yung naging katungkulan niya dyan. So I think dapat hindi ho sila maging bahagi po ng defense panel ni Vice President Sara Duterte.
Pero sir, in practical terms, how does that work? Kasi for example, of course we're not lawyers, pero for example, tinawag as a witness itong isa, whether it's Powa or Monsayak, to be a witness dun sa hearings. As their lawyer as well, can they say that I cannot speak about this issue because of lawyer-client privilege? Ganun ba? Is that how it works? I mean, in real terms, what does it mean?
Pwede kasi yung invoke yun eh. That is our problem. Pagka pinayagan sila to be both counsel and both a witness / resource person. So, hindi ho dapat payagin. Pero ako, as far as I'm concerned, they cannot invoke client lawyer privilege pagka ang pinag-uusapan na specific to their work in the OVP and specific to their work in the Department of Education. Ibig sabihin, yung pong privilege will only exist pagka they are providing legal advice to the Vice President on what she would do in the course of the impeachment proceeding. So I think the Justice Committee will have to make a decision on the entry of the appearance of the two lawyers po, Mr. Powa and Mr. Monsayak.
It's the Congressman. It's the Justice Committee that has the last word on this. And how does it work? Do you have to vote on it, or it can be decided by the chair?
We will have to deliberate on it. So I think it may be raised during the first hearing pagka nagsimula. So maybe there might be a motion to reject their entry of appearance. Ito pong dalawang mga lawyers po na ito, or they may be allowed to continue on as members of the defense panel, pero pagka sinalang sila as witnesses and resource persons, kailangan po hindi po pwedeng invoke yung pong lawyer-client privilege.
On another topic, Congressman, ano yung indicative timeline nyo dito sa impeachment? Halimbawa, Justice Committee, plenary, anong timeline? Nag-lapse na ba yung 10 days?
Hindi pa
na binigay nyo sa hanggang kailan ba yung magla-lapse? Tapos meron kayong break sa March 21, di ba? So, ano yung pwedeng ipahiliwanag nating timeline sa impeachment sa ating mamamayan?
Maglalapse po yung notice to answer ng ating pong Pangulo pagka po darating linggong ito. So, dapat by Monday, may makuha na pong answer ang House Committee on Justice. At yun po, pagka meron pong sagot, yung complainants, endorsers will be given a few days to give the reply, and the Vice President can then give her rejoinder. So, yung po nga timelines na tinitingnan ho namin to do the determination of sufficiency in grounds and yung hearing proper, I think April 8th or April 18th, yung po nga pinag-uusapan po naming mga petsa. Doon po sa pagsisimula na po ng hearing proper.
Ang tingin nyo, kung gaano katagal yon yung hearing proper?
Ano naman ho, matatapos po kami by around the middle to the end of May. Para matapos po itong mga pagdinig po na ito at magkaroon ng committee report and so we can go to plenary ready to vote on it.
April
By June
18.
siguro, can we say na by June,
Yeah.
ready na yung ano nyo for a vote by the House?
I think we would want to be able to finish it at the level of the committee bago po matapos sa sine die ang Kongreso po. No? So, hopefully by around June, we will have to vote on it at the level of the plenary na po.
Congressman, can I just clarify? April 18 applies even if she doesn't respond to the NTA, the notice to answer, and was it notice to what is?
Notice to answer. Pero, syempre, we're still assuming that the Vice President will answer by Monday. No? So, in the event, for example, that she does not, I think ma-abbreviate po yung proceedings. No? Kasi there is no reason for the complainants to reply and for a rejoinder to be submitted kung walang answer. No? So, mas mapapabilis po yung proseso pagka po ganun.
So kung before hindi yung ano nyo, yung vote nyo, at let's presume na mag-vote ang House to impeach, makukuha na yun ng Senado before the adjournment, hindi.
I think that is what the House Committee on Justice would want to undertake. No? Dapat matapos na ho everything within the House bago po mag-adjourn sine die ang Kongreso.
Okay.
Sir, si Congressman Ronnie Puno has already, issued statements about this, and he's asking the Justice Committee to present new evidence in the impeachment case. Otherwise, it looks like the NUP party may not vote in favor of this impeachment. Where does that stand right now, and how would that, if they don't, how would that impact the case?
To be fair naman po to NUP, no? Ang sabi naman po nila, they will vote based on conscience, no? And to be fair to them, during the sufficiency in substance vote, marami pong mga miyembro po na NUP yung pong bumoto for sufficiency in substance. So, I think that is their standing policy today relating to the impeachment. And doon po sa panawagan po nila to provide new evidence, I think yun naman po ang new evidence na pinag-usapan ngayon would be the Salen issue, firstly, and secondly, the Madriaga affidavit. No? So, I think yan po yung mga bagong pag-uusapan as we go into the hearing proper. No? So, what will be subpoenaed would be all the salens of the Vice President from 07 to 24, all the income tax returns of the Vice President and Attorney Manscarpio for that same period as well, and everything else, all the SEC documents of all the businesses that had been stated in that SALN of the Vice President for 2023 and 2024.
Can you order the opening of the bank records in relation to the SALN?
Kasama po yun. So, isa ho sa mga exemptions po ng bank secrecy law, yung pong impeachment proceedings. No? So, hindi lang po yan impeachment trial. So, even impeachment proceedings at the level of the House, pwede pong magkaroon ng coordination with the banks and with the Anti-Money Laundering Council. Para makita po natin yung bank inflows and outflows po ng po mga related transactions ng mga impeachable officials.
So, kung ang tingin nyo, doable yun? Dahil sinasabi kasi dapat lalabas yun sa trial.
Sa trial proper.
Sa trial proper. Tingin nyo sa Justice Committee ay doable yun? Papayag ang AMLA?
Tingin ko naman po, if this is something that is within the exceptions, no, to the bank secrecy law, pwede hong i-undertake po na House po ito. And I'm quite certain the executive agencies, not just AMLAC, but also the BIR and the SEC. Kasi yan po yung mga relevant na panggagalingan po ng mga dokumento po on the SALN. I think they will cooperate naman po with the Justice Committee.
Pero walang president pa dyan, Kong, di ba?
Walang proceeding kasi I think this is the first time na meron po talagang full proceedings at the level of the House Justice Committee.
Yeah.
Na talaga pong meron pong pagsisiyasat. Kasi karamihan naman po ng naging karanasan natin in the past, talagang express route to the Senate po yung mga exhaustive proceedings po natin. Ngayon lang po talaga na exhaustive already at the level of the House Justice Committee.
Pero hindi ba yan
This is in
pwedeng maging
compliance with the
basis
Supreme
para sa
Court
Vice President to
ruling.
file a TRO sa Supreme Court? Continuation lang. Hindi ba yan magiging basis para sa Vice President to file again a TRO sa Supreme Court?
Wala naman ho yung Vice President siyempre to undertake all the legal actions that she needs to undertake, no, to defend herself, no. So we will leave it to her if it's something that she thinks will benefit her case. No? Pero again, she had stated that she's ready to confront, no, all of the issues within the impeachment proceedings. So tingin ko dapat hindi ho nagre-resort to Supreme Court cases pagka ganyan po yung initial commitment.
Amy.
Pero yung gagawin nyo is in compliance, hindi ba? With the new Supreme Court ruling on the procedures. Di ba?
Yeah.
Mas detalyado yung pag-iimbestigan nyo ngayon. That
Yung
will
po,
be in compliance with the Supreme Court ruling, di ba?
ano na ho, tapos na ho tayo dun sa implementation ng both decision and the resolution of the new Supreme Court ruling. Na ano na ho yan, na surmount na ho natin yung mga requirements po nila. So andito na ho tayo doon sa new phase ng full proceedings na po at the level of the House Justice Committee. At the moment, yung palitan po ng mga dokumento po yung pinapatupad po natin at this point.
Sa sarili nyo ng rules yan ngayon, na kung sakasakaling bubuksan nyo yung bank records, sarili nyo ng rules yun of impeachment.
Tama po yun. So, lahat po ng kailangang mga mekanismo para ho masiyasat ng buo yung lahat po ng grounds na binanggit, confidential funds, death threats against the President, SALN, and yung Madriaga affidavit. We will undertake all the full powers of the committee to get to the truth of it.
Congressman, if for any reason you are unable to order the bank records submitted, what is the recourse? Ano pong balak nyo?
Hindi lang naman po bank records yung magiging batayan eh. Noong pong impeachment po ni Vice President Sara Duterte, so even at the level po, for example, ng mga ITR, of payments, VAT payments, for example, ng mga negosyo. Kasi supposedly, on the SALN issue, the Vice President needs to explain yung gap po ng net worth ng 88 million at 2024 doon po sa totality ng kinita niya from public office, which should be around in the range of 30 million to 40 million over the course of 17 years. No? So that explanation for the gap would be taken from explanations relating to ITR submissions of the law office, of yung professional services profit, and yung pong mga negosyo na sinasabi po nila. So, doon mo maipapaliwanag po yung gap po na yan. So, pag hindi yan mapaliwanag through ITR payments and VAT payments, talagang malinaw po yung impeachable ground po on the basis of SALN.
These are, Kong, these are the sinasabing new evidence, di ba? SALN, bank accounts, etc. Pero yung isang new evidence kasi, yung testimony ni Madriaga. Just a week ago, ang sabi, may mga threats kay Madriaga. May efforts ba kayo to protect him or secure him? Dahil isa siya sa new important evidence dito sa impeachment na ito.
Ang pagkakaintindi po natin, there are motions that have been filed by members of the committee, I think particularly by Congressman Jokno, to secure po Mr. Madriaga. So I think the committee will coordinate with the court who has jurisdiction on him and the BJMP para po magkaroon ng talakayan kung pwede po bang ilipat sa House po muna pansamantala si Mr. Madriaga.
But sir, has that ever been done before? Is there a precedent to that?
Hindi ko alam actually. I have to look at Quadcom records, no? Kung nagawa po ba yan for detained persons na mga nag-witness po sa Kongreso. I think meron pong ganun, but I have to check po if that is something that we had undertaken before.
On another note, Kong, ano lang status nung parang narinig ko na binabalak last year pa na Quadcom 2.0. Mangyayari ba uli yun, yung Quadcom? Or hindi na matutuloy?
Ano naman po, naka-in place naman po yung Quadcom 2.0, no? Pero syempre, very focused po at the moment yung Congress dun sa respond to the Middle East crisis, no? Impact on OFWs and on the economy in general, which is why we had passed yung pong excise taxes bill, no? For the removal of it or suspension of it. And secondly, focus din po kasi yung mga accountability committees dito po sa impeachments, no? The last couple of weeks, no? Pero I think magkakaroon po ng pagkakataon na mag-recon din po muli yung Quadcom I guess pagbalik na ho ng Kongreso after the break.
Okay.
Panghuli na lang, Kong. Yung, on another note, yung priority bills ng presidente, ano na bang status nila? Halimbawa, yung ICIAC ni Congressman Laila de Lima. Kumalaw na ba yung baso dyan? Yung kayo, bahagi kayo ng party list caucus, no? Ano na status ng priority bill na party list reform? No? Medyo may kaunti tayong alam dun sa anti-dynasty bill. Parang meron din version ng Senado. Pero yung mga ibang priority bills, anong status nun?
I think nasa level pa rin ho siya ng committee deliberation. Yung pong, particularly dito po sa party list reform, no? Hindi ko lang alam kung aabot po ito na makarating po sa plenaryo bago ho mag-bakasyon. Pero yung sa ICI bill, I think papadaanin po ito doon sa mga secondary committees na kailangan po ng pagdaanan po at ma-approve po ito. For example, sa Committee on Appropriations, kailangan po dumaan po muna yan po bill na yan. So, inaantay ho namin matapos po yung proseso po na yun.
Okay, we'll leave that there. Thank you so much for talking to us today. House Committee on Public Accounts Chair and Bicol Saro Party List Representative Congressman Terry Redon. Salamat, sir.
Salamat. Magandang hapon.
President Bongbong Marcos has certified as urgent the passage of a bill authorizing him to suspend or reduce excise taxes on petroleum products during national or global economic emergencies. This provision is good until 2028. And
nagkabotohan na sa House?
Sa House meron na. Senate na lang.
yes, correct. Pumasa na sa second reading and then ito nga, he has certified it as urgent as promised.
But which version? Yung, ito ba may 30 days averaging o ito yung immediately?
All of them are averaging.
Magre-reconcile.
Hindi naman, as Energy Secretary Sharon Gurn explained to us last night, because remember, last night, prices of fuel came back down to around $80, $90 a barrel. Malaki yung bagsak from the previous day na umabot ng $110, $120 a barrel. So I asked her,
Pero bumalik
rocket and feather theory, right? Mabilis pagpataas, but on its way down, parang feather. And she said, we cannot adjust fuel prices at this point because you have to see the average across a week, across 30 days, and so on and so forth, right? So it's not like because Brent crude dropped in the global markets that they can easily adjust na kaagad.
Pero pwedeng i-adjust na mabilis pag tumaas.
Pwede.
Oo nga.
Alam mo, I'm sorry to say, that is exactly how a market works.
Wow.
That's exactly how a free market works. That's exactly how capitalism works, right?
Yeah.
Ang difference is, meron naman powers ang DOE. The difference is, they can only investigate anti-competitive behavior. So profiteering, hoarding, manipulating the oil, the quality of the oil, and so on and so forth. Pero because we're deregulated, hindi sila pwede mag-set ng price caps.
Yeah. That's
Ang,
good. Pero hindi
Europe,
pa ba
ang Europe kasi capitalist eh. Ang Europe. Pero,
Well, not all of them. May ibang socialist din naman.
Very strong yung kanilang regulatory regime. No? Para sa kanila kasi ay capital should obey government rules. Yun yung mahalaga sa kanila. Kaya madali silang hindi sila masyado nababanatan. Parang hirap ipaliwanag eh. Ang bilis
Hirap
tumaas,
ipaliwanag, oo.
tapos ang bagal bumaba. Di ba?
But again, that is exactly how a free market works. And you know, the problem with this oil deregulation law is when it was conceived on, is it 40 years ago now?
1998.
Ilang years yun?
30 years.
30 years ago now. There were some parts of it that were put in order to shield us from exactly these kinds of price shocks. For example, yung sinasabi ni former Energy Sec Alfonso Cusi na Strategic Petroleum Reserve. That was already mentioned as far back. Hindi natuloy, exactly. 30, 40 years ago, exactly. Ang point ng oil deregulation law, and I know it's being villainized at this point, but ang point niya is to not give government price control power, but you have the power to, do other things to alleviate prices in times of shock. So, number one, yung yung strategic reserve, meron din targeted subsidies and so on and so forth. But, so at this point, bumabalik tayo dun sa discussions, the conversations around re-regulation, which we already, moved on from 30 years ago.
Politiko, never mind.
Because in spite of that, the state is the state. It's very powerful. Pwede mong sabihin yung mga big players, huy!
Yes.
Absorb nyo naman yung part
Yes.
nito. Huwag na lahat ibigay sa consumers.
yun na lang ang
Or we can make problems for you. Di ba? Ganun naman
Which I think they're doing now, to be fair.
Ginagawa nila ng Korea, ginagawa nila ng Japan. No? Hindi yan totally unregulated.
Yes.
Because ang daming paraan para gawin
Hindi
yan.
siya totally unregulated. I agree. That's why, I know the DOE makes like parang their hands are tied completely. I don't think so. Meron na din naman such a thing as, as you said, moral suasion, right? Convincing them na, wag muna. Wag muna mag-taas.
Bisa mo yung pagbaba. Kasi bumaba yung presyo.
Hoy, gusto mo ba ng problema?
But most of the parang BSP does that too all the time. 'Di ba? Moral suasion. But yung mga economists that I've spoken to about this oil crisis have all said it's not a good idea to go back to the re-regulation time. 30 years ago, 35
Because it was
years
very
ago.
politicized.
It was incredibly politicized.
Mahirap yung
Sinira, it blew a massive hole in the national budget kasi when you think about the basic concept of kung bakit gusto ng tao ngayon i-re-regulate, they want a price cap. The problem if you put a price cap is sino mag-absorb
Mag-hoarding yan.
not just that, but sino mag-absorb ng difference? Let's say global oil is $90 a barrel. The government here sets $70 a barrel. Sino mag-absorb nun? Eh di ba tayo din? That's gonna come from the national budget. That's gonna come from the taxes. So it's gonna blow a massive hole in the national budget, which is what we saw. Well, I wasn't alive then, but no oil, what do they call it? OPSF.
Oil Price Stabilization Fund.
Yes,
Parang
exactly.
toddler ako na.
But something came up in the hearing last week sa House. The oil companies were telling the House committee na we cannot bring down oil prices yet because because the oil we bought was purchased at a higher price.
You're right.
There's also that.
But if that's the argument that we cannot bring the prices down because the oil we have was bought at a higher price, the same argument should also be used for oil they bought at a lower price.
For holding the
You
price,
cannot
hindi ina-apply
increase the price until you
Pag yung
sell
magtataas
off
na. Ay,
the cheaper
pati
oil.
bigas ngayon, ang laki ng tinaas na.
Yeah, because it's going to feed into food, basic commodities, agriculture. One thing that sa PCCI reminded us is pati fertilizers ini-import natin. So all of those will increase. Urea.
May warning ang Department of Agriculture to yung farm sector na wag daw basta-basta magtaas. Taas-taas na. Laki-laki talaga, laki-laki.
Kasi we keep
Buti.
hearing the argument na we have to price it based on replenishment costs.
Yes, replacement cost.
Ng bigas.
Ng langis. Okay. Pero the other day kasi the argument of the oil companies was for acquisition cost. Now, we bought it at a high price, we cannot sell it at lower prices.
Acquisitiveness cost.
Hindi naman tayo ganun katalinuhan, di ba? Pero hindi naman tayo ganun kabobo, di ba?
Acquisitiveness.
Maliban sa katabi ko, yung principal yan. Talagang matalino yan. Pero si Ami, okay lang niya dahil malapit lang yung kanyang pinagtatrabahuan eh.
O, taga pa niya.
Hindi masyado malayo yung gasto sa gasolina. Tayo, malaki
Kaya
gastos
napansin
eh.
ko, bumili ko ng bigas kanina.
Oo.
Nakalaki 10 piso tinaas per kilo.
Per kilo.
Sobrang laki nun.
Oh.
Ano yun, wholesaler yan. Wholesale retail, but it's a wholesale. Ano.
Eh tayo, nagreklamo na,
Okay.
paano pa iba? Di ba? Oh.
Oh, editor-in-chief na yun ng Philippine Star, ha?
Kaya, lalo na yung
Women's
yayaman
Month
din yan.
balita
Lalo na yung mga walang,
Nag-file na siya kanina ng complaint sa IDP. Yeah, Women's Month, para maiba.
Yeah.
Hindi masyadong ano.
Oh.
Nag-file ng complaint na against the lawyer who could not be named, sabi ni Sara Ilago. Di daw pala pa pwedeng pangalanan kapag pinailan mo ng complaint.
talaga?
Kasi ano na,
Pinailan
it's
na ng
under
complaint.
Sub judice.
Oo,
sub judice.
Parang Baltimore, no? He who cannot be named. Si
Kaya
Kwan ba
nga
yan?
sabi ko, the lawyer who cannot be named.
Si Kwan ba yan?
Pinailan na
ano?
ng complaint.
Si Kwan yung may billboard sa C5 na Mr. Sex Appeal.
What are you
ganun ba?
talking about?
Hindi ko alam yun na meron ba.
Di ba alam?
Meron ba? Hindi ko alam.
2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Oh. Pero tingnan mo sa C5, may billboard siya. Mr. Sex Appeal. Pangalan ng kanyang radio program.
Ganun ba?
Okay.
Oh, anong klase kang tao kung gagawa ka ng billboard na tatawagin mo yung sarili mo na Mr. Sex Appeal?
Maybe hindi naman siya nagbayad noon. You never know. Maybe. I'm just- alam mo naman ako, I aim for balance. Always balance about everything, right?
Maybe pinilit sa kanya yung title ng show.
Oh, exactly.
Oo.
Just to be clickbait. Clickbait pa.
Actually, very basic lang yan. Kung hindi ka narcissist, hindi ka papayag. Hindi ka papayag na ganun yung title ng show mo.
Oh, mali mo totoo.
Na talagang malaki yung kanyang sex appeal.
But that's very
gusto mo-
subjective, you see.
So, naiisip mo na ba kung sino yung sinasabi ko?
Ayoko isipan. I'd rather.
Nakita mo na ba yung
Sarcasm
kanyang...
lang daw yung ano niya kay Sara Ilago, di ba? Sabi niya.
Sino ba yung...
At meron naman, yun naman daw, freedom of imagination is absolute.
Basta narinig ko siya, sabi niya, meron din daw siyang ganung pagnanasa. Pero nung
Yun na nga.
nakita niya, nung
Sarcasm
nakatabi
daw
niya,
yun.
naamoy niya, nawala na. Imagine mo yun. Imagine mo yung ganun.
I don't even want to dignify that with a response.
Dapat
Hindi
doon,
kailangan.
ma-disbar talaga.
Pero April pa daw itatackle ng IBP. So, after
Pero may
Women's
ethics
Month.
committee, ano naman, yung kay Bong Suntay naman, ethics, at least inapprove na ng House, ano? Yung ano, yung
Actually, mix
conduct an
yung
investigation.
feeling ko doon na dapat i-strike out. Mas gusto ko kasi na hindi. Para ipamukha sa mga tao yung ganong klaseng misogynistic statement. Ano pag in-strike out mo,
It never happened.
it never happened. At least officially. Kung hindi mo in-strike out, nandun yun, no?
Yun
Lagi
nga
mo
tatanong ko paano
lagi mo
i-investigahan ko na
ipamumukha.
strike out na?
Yung una mo kasi reaction, strike out eh. Pero kind of think of it, parang gusto mong maging conscious. No? An example of how or what not to do.
Saka ano kayang magiging Ronald, anong pwedeng parusa kapag ganyan? Yung ganyang klaseng accusation.
Sa ethics o saan? Sa...
Medyo ethics yan eh.
Oo.
Anong pwedeng parusa sa
maraming
ganyan?
pwedeng parusa ron. Yung pinaka-extreme doon, pwede kang tanggalin. Ha?
But you
Yun na
really
nga,
think
yun na nga.
that Congress
Pero
would do
kapag
that?
ganyan,
You really think
Hindi,
Congress-
sinasabi ko lang, kasama
mga
yan sa
lalaki
option.
kami,
Marami rin sa kanilang ganun eh.
Oo.
I mean, it's our culture, ano?
Oo.
Anong pwedeng
Hindi, ang sinasabi ko lang, technically, pwedeng gawin yun
Yeah,
ng ethics
that's true.
committee. No? Pwede kang bigyan ng suspension, Pwede kang
Reprimand.
pero at best or at worst, depende sa pagtingin mo, pwede kang sipain sa Kongreso.
Kasi pinangangatawanan niya na
kuweba?
analogy lang daw yun, di ba?
Saang
At even his
kuweba?
apology eh.
Saang
Eh kung
kuweba
nasaktan lang naman ako.
Oh, ikaw ngayon nasa kuweba.
Oo. Pag ako na yung presidente, gagawin ko yan.
So, tatakbo ka?
Ha?
Tatakbo ka?
Pinag-iisipan ko pa eh.
Because there's rumors that you might.
Dahil iniisip ko kung sino aking kadebate. Presidential debate. Pero kung tatakbo ka, tayo magdedebate.
Marcoleta.
No, kakain ka ng
Senator
alikabok.
Marcoleta, di ba?
Wow, ako ang kakain. Me? Sasabotage ko lang yung seat, yung chair.
Imagine mo yung presidential debate namin, di ba?
Bigla ka
Teka
manatagay
lang.
kasi yung tornilyo mo natanggal.
Exactly.
Yung tornilyo mo luluwag ulit yan.
Yung
Sige.
tornilyo sa utak.
Kahit bago yung silya mo, alam mo, yung tornilyo, screwdriver lang katapat yan.
Hindi, pero i-agitate ko yan. Imagine mo yung galit niya habang nagdedebate.
You think I care? Teka lang, just very quickly, 59, the peso closed 59.385 today. Gusto lang sabihin ng the producers just asking me to.
Pero di ba umabot talaga ng kwan?
59.5.
50 nung ano.
Hindi.
59.50 yung mga isang araw.
Oo. So 59.385 is not a record low, but still
Yeah.
very weak. Very weak. Okay. We'll leave that there. Thanks so much for joining StoryCon today. Ame Pamintuan, Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star. Pero ayaw ko basahin yung second part.
Roel Llamas, our resident political hockey.
Kala ko, our resident political
Happy na
candidate,
siya.
a presidential candidate.
Join us again tomorrow 4 p.m. for StoryCon. I'm Regina Lay. Hala, baka people might get excited.
May maniwala. No?
Ma-excite.
Maniwala.
O parang nung nag-joke ako na tatakbo ako ng midterm.
Oo nga.
Kali nila.
Pero obispo na nagbigay
Talaga.
ng pera. Tapos magre-raise pa naman.
Sinuli mo?
Nung sinuli ko. Tapos binigay niya sa isang kaibigan. No, para ibigay sa akin. Dahil sinabi ko, hindi ako tatakbo. No. Nag-joke lang ako, nagkaroon kami ng mock document, mock application. Para pumunta kami sa COMELEC para just to make fun
Yeah.
ng mga kandidato.
Oh my
May
goodness.
seryoso, di ba?
Magkano binigay?
Huwag na natin pag-usapan, babal yun.
Sa next episode na
Baka mamaya, masose ako.
Isususo na talaga namin.
Baka mauna pa yung kaso.
Baka indirect bribery ako, di ba?
Negotiable na bon yun, negotiable. Kahit ka mapile ng kaso.
Hirap talaga mag-joke dito sa ako na to, no?
Mahirap.
May naniniwala.
We're gonna pin you down.
May naniniwala, eh, no?
Okay, goodbye na tayo. Ang gulo yung dalawa. Okay, I'm Ed Lingao, kapatid. Biyernes sa bukas. We are One News, all sides, all the time.
This is the Story Conference Group or the StoryCon Group.